This is Lee Ridley. I was lucky enough to achieve 2 promotions with Scunthorpe United, but nothing compares to the joy I experience when listening to the Iron Hour podcast.
It's Barra here, and thanks for tuning in once again to the Iron Hour podcast. I'm joined by 3 of my usual panel. I've got Marco. How you doing, bud?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Published author Max Bell.
Feels weird not playing for a Tuesday for once.
And the People's Princess, everybody's favourite, Gareth Holden, a.k.a. Iron Army. How you doing, Gaz?
I'm really good, thank you. Good not being able to see myself.
Yeah, hopefully.
Good for you lot as well.
Hopefully you've done your wonders and you've managed to kind of Photoshop a nice little picture of yourself in that bottom corner. Obviously, you've got camera issues today, but we will persist. So, coming up on today's episode, we will review the 1-1 draw with Warrington Town at the weekend. And our Spy in the Camp segment this week takes us all the way to Staffordshire as we talk to a very special guest, so stay tuned for that. And of course, we'll preview Saturday's game against Newcastle Town, and we'll have our usual segment at the end, the hero, idiot, and moment of the week. So let's kick off then, Max, with the game on Saturday. 1-1 draw against Warrington. How did you see that one?
A little bit frustrating. I thought Warrington were good. I could sort of see why they came from behind to beat Kidderminster earlier on in the season. I just thought it felt a little bit like a Chorley game. There were too many times where we were a little bit wasteful in possession. The final pass in the final third wasn't quite there. And again, having got ourselves in front, you're expecting us to see out the game, try and grab that 1-0 win or hit them on the break to make it 2-0. And it just wasn't quite there. I thought we created more chances, thought we had enough chances to win the game. But when I'm walking across the car park at full time, I sort of didn't really begrudge Warrington the point, to be honest with you, Barra, mate.
You touched on it there, Marco. Max just touched on it there, Marco. You said it yourself to me after the game on Saturday. Another day could have been 5 or 6.
Oh yeah, look. After we could still do it now. We aren't scoring. It was just one of those days. I don't think it was a lack of trying. Like Max said, I don't think, and that's no disrespect to Warrington. Like you said, I think we had a game plan. There's no doubt. As soon as we got that equaliser, they really did dig in. Look, from the first minute with them switching sides. Look, the atmosphere died. It was flat. It was very edgy at Glanford Park. I thought, obviously, compared to Kidderminster game, where it's like the total opposite. I think if we'd have took one of those chances early doors, we win that game on Saturday 3 or 4-0. But it really was just one of those days. And look, there's going to be more of them this season, so let's not just push that panic button just yet. But yeah, really frustrating. Like Max says, coming out of it felt a bit like a loss. But I think we need to just take a step back and look where we are.
Gareth, one thing Marco just touched on there was the swapping of ends at the start of the game. Do you think with the fact that we didn't get over the line on Saturday kind of sets a precedent and other teams might do the same if they win the toss this season?
Yeah, it happened last season quite a lot as well, that they switched ends. Shooting into the Dre for us in the second half is a big thing. The crowd really get behind the team. So yeah, if other teams can, put a dampener on proceedings at our place, they're going to do it. They need all the help they can get. So, yeah, I think more teams will definitely do it, and they've seen it's worked for Warrington, so hopefully they'll be hoping it works for them as well.
Gareth, I'll just stick with you. It was mentioned in the first couple of minutes of this podcast, actually, that possibly people kind of need to keep perspective and just a reminder of where we are in the league, 8 games unbeaten. What did you think to the fallout on social media on Saturday night?
Well, I will say this right now. Those fans are my idiots of the week.
Nice.
So, it's just why jump on everybody's back, calling out the manager, calling out players. It achieves nothing, I'll be honest. And I just think that people do need to calm down. Still top of the league. If we lose our next game against Scarborough, we're still top of the league. We are going to lose a game at some point this season. We're not going to go through it all, as invincibles. I hope we do, but I just can't see it. So for people just to, because we've not won against Warrington, I said beforehand that I thought they'd score, and which proved right. I thought we'd win as well. But, fair play to Warrington. Sometimes you just got to doff your cap and think, well, yeah, they've come with a game plan, done it. There's no point jumping on media the following few hours later and just spouting. I think I put a tweet out just saying that, if it happens again, just type your tweet out, your message, whatever it is, read it, delete it, and start again. And just go into it with an open mind. You can't just be spouting off at players or the team, because we've drawn a game. We've drawn a game. We've not lost. If they'd beat us 7-0, fair enough. You know what I mean? I'm all for it. But, it's 1-1. We're still top by 4 points. We've conceded 2 goals all season so far. Yeah, just get a grip.
I guess the Twitterverse would wish Max would do the same. Type his tweet out and then delete it before he posts it.
I haven't been that controversial lately, to be honest with you. Unless you're that bothered about the wooden fences down Lakeside Parkway falling over, then I am your man.
I'll just stick with you, Max. So,
yeah, come on, let's have a go. Come on, let's go.
I guess some of the perspective that Gareth was alluding to there, might be the fact that today Andy Butler was announced as Player of the Month for August.
Player of the Month, he's a talented.
Yeah, Manager of the Month for August. Thoughts on that? Does that kind of, back up what Gareth is saying there?
Well, I just hope that the old fabled, slightly mythic, I think, Manager of the Month curse doesn't strike for us on Saturday or in the next league game. Obviously, conscious of the fact that we're playing in the cup. So, look, we'll see. I do completely agree with perspective, but I don't think this is a new thing, and I don't think it's just a Scunthorpe specific thing. Social media nowadays makes it so easy for you to go on and overreact in that 5 seconds. Back in the day, if you wanted to complain, you either had to wait till the next home game and shout on the terrace, or if you're feeling really, really angry, you could write a physical letter and post it to the Scunthorpe Telegraph. Nowadays, it's so much easier. We see it all the time with the clubs. I think if we're being honest, I think we saw it a fair bit last season during games, when we were going through the financial struggles and we were fundraising and we were really worried about not having a club anymore. Everyone said, just want the club, don't care. Fast forward to certain games at the end of the season, and there was plenty of stick for the manager. There was some stick for the players, and I didn't like it then and I don't like it now. Gareth has perfectly encapsulated the fact that we're 4 points clear. It's a tough league game that we've got next against Scarborough. It's a potential banana skin we've got in the cup coming up as well. And look, for those 3 league games, including Scarborough, I predicted 4 points. So if we even go to Scarborough and get a point, we've surpassed my expectations and I'll be very happy.
Marco, I guess one of the bright sparks this season so far has been Danny Whitehall's looked really impressive, actually. Probably had a bit of a tough start opening day against Brackley in that 3-0 win. I thought he was maybe a little bit off it. He didn't get the goal on Saturday. It's been officially credited as an own goal. But how impressive has he been actually in these opening 8 games?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think we mentioned on the podcast regarding Whitehall versus Brackley. Didn't really look himself, like you said, but I really do think he's grown into the new role. Which not necessarily getting as many chances as he did under previous management, but I think the work for his team is enabling other players to come in. I don't think we have as many chances as we did on Saturday without his work rate. But yeah, no, really impressed with Whitehall. Again, another good performance. Took a massive knock in the first half as well and just played on with covered in blood. I don't know if anyone saw it, but on the Donny Road end, it was absolutely caked in it and still didn't come off the pitch. So. I mean, that's Whitehall. We know he ain't coming off unless he's really injured. But no, I've been really impressed with him, and it's like I said, it's a change to his how we saw him last season. But no, one mate to continue. Let's just hope he gets a few goals now.
And Gareth, just sticking with Whitehall, we could have won it late on actually with that headed chance. Cracking save or bog standard stuff for you?
I think bog standard. Keeper's going to be there. He's not going to be stood on his far post, is he? So he's in the right place where he's got to be. So if he'd had to dive to his left and claw it out, then cracking save. But I think he's straight at him, in all fairness. So yeah, I'm not. I know you're a keeper, man. You like a keeper, just like Becky does. So So yeah, so I'll leave that one to you.
Yeah,
You'll tell me I'm wrong.
It was a cracking save.
There we go.
Yeah, the reason why it's such a good save is I've seen people on Twitter say, it's straight at him. That to me is the equivalent of saying, "Oh, a striker's always in the right place." Yeah, he's there because he's a good keeper. He's in the right position because he's very good at what he does. So his positioning actually, if you watch very carefully, he takes a couple of steps across, very slight, just a couple of steps. Positioning is perfect. And actually, as I say, the fact that people say it was straight at him is because he's put himself in that perfect position. And it's not actually straight at him. His hand kind of moves up towards the ball in a really good motion, and it's point blank range. Yeah, for me, it's a cracking save. I understand why, maybe not for everyone, but go on, Marco.
I thought, just pointing out, I thought their keeper had a really good game early on when we were really putting it on him. Just a couple of saves at the near post, but like Barry said, I think his positioning was fantastic, and he wasn't the biggest of goalies either. So a massive shout out. But I don't know if we're going to come on to it, but their star man for me, Dixon, in the centre of the park for them. What a player! He reminded me of Mazika. Didn't really look the most gamely at times, but when he was on the ball or when closing down, I thought it was fantastic.
And as well, he wasn't. You don't often see really tall central midfielders. They either get shunted at the other end of the pitch. But for me, it wasn't just tall. It was the fact that he was he was built like an East German shot putter. But then, as you say, he had a good touch in him. He had a good turn in him. He'd have got my man of the match vote. But he looks a good player.
You have a checkbook.
Well, just sticking with that, Max, was there any kind of players other than, the ones we've just mentioned, any other Warrington players that stood out for you? And based on what you've seen from so far this season, how do Warrington kind of compare to the other teams we've played, and how do you think they might finish this season, Max?
So Warrington are clearly a bit of an interesting side. They've taken 4 points off us in Kidderminster, but they've played 3 sides who I probably expect to be in the bottom 6 this season and taken a combined 1 point. If I was a Warrington fan, you'd probably be tearing your hair out at that. Based on the performance against us, I wonder if there's a little bit of a raising their game for the big teams, and also it suits their style of play, being able to hit sides on the break. But when the flip coin, when a side sits with a bank of 4 or a bank of 5, can they really break teams down? I know we've not got a huge sample size, but so far I'd probably say no. I think based on that inconsistency, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll finish mid-table. That was where they just about finished last season. And based on their budget, I imagine most of their supporters will be reasonably satisfied with that. I know it's an easy answer, but genuinely, we've already discussed the 2 players for Warrington I was most impressed with, which was their keeper, who didn't look the tallest keeper. We're now in a fashion where, almost as a standard, keepers are taller than they've ever been. Often 6'4", 6'5" plus. I do wonder about Warrington's keeper as to whether or not he was, I don't know, even maybe a 6'3". He probably wouldn't be playing at the National League North level. In terms of the save, well, we'll come on to that later, I suspect, because it's one of my choices for a segment at the end of the section.
Fantastic stuff. And you actually mentioned there about Warrington potentially raising the game, playing the good teams in the division. That was something that the town reporter, Ben Reid, actually mentioned last week when he was on in our Spy of the Camp section, which leads us very nicely onto this. Well, this week's Spy in the Camp segment takes us all the way to Staffordshire. And I'm pleased to say I'm joined now by Gav Appleby, the chairman of Newcastle Town FC. Thanks for joining us, Gav. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm excited ahead of this weekend's fixture. It's a step into the unknown for a lot of us Scunthorpe United fans, as I'm sure it is for you guys as well, hosting us. What's the vibe in the camp going into the weekend?
Yeah, everybody's really excited by the fixture and to pull out the top-ranked team currently in the competitions. Great for us. Great. Hopefully, we're saying that Saturday afternoon at 5:00. But we think it's great, and everybody around the place is really hyped up. Me, not so much. I'm trying to get everything organised in the background and pedaling away, but it's a great fixture, and I don't think the teams have ever met before, so I think it's a first fixture as well. Obviously, you guys have been a lot higher up the the pyramid in your history than we ever have been. So, let's hope that we don't meet for a while after this as well, in the nicest possible way, because you guys will be, I've no doubt, on the way up.
Well, that's certainly our aspirations. I think everyone would know we've got hopes of getting back into the Football League. What's the aspirations of Newcastle Town FC in the next couple of years?
Well, similar to yourselves, we want to continue upwards on the trajectory upwards. So we came into this division, Step 4, Northern Premier League, West we're in. It's changed names a few times over the years. Most of your fans probably aren't familiar with this level of football at all, because you've never been at it. So we're at Step 4. For 26 years, we were a Step 5 club, struggling to get out of what is the North West Counties League. And then in 2011, we managed to get up. So we've been in this division now for 13 years, and we've probably been close to the top 3 times in this division, and probably struggling at the bottom for the remainder of that. So we nearly did a double promotion when we went up in 2011. We got knocked out in the playoffs that following year, and then 2015 we got knocked out in the playoffs again, and then the COVID year we were going quite well, and obviously we were third, I think, at the time. Second, sorry, at the time. League Town were top, and Kidsgrove Athletic were third, who are our local club. So we were quite hopeful of getting out at that stage, but then we stopped. The National League continued. We sold one of our best players to Hereford, which was Ryan McLean, who subsequently moved on. I think he might be playing at Step 2 himself, actually. I just can't think of what club. We sold another lad, James Mallarda, to Salford. So we kind of, during that COVID period, moved on a couple of our better players. And then probably been there's 3 opportunities to get out. And we've probably escaped relegation as well on the last day a few times. So it's been quite a journey for us in this division. But to summarise, we want to get out and up into the next league, and we think we've got with Neil Baker, our gaffer, the perfect guy to do that.
We're just touching on Ryan McLean for our listeners. He's registered at the moment with Wimbledon, and he was on loan at Kidderminster in Step 1. Obviously, they were a Step 1 team last season.
I couldn't just quite remember, so I'm glad you've pointed that out. But yeah, we sold him for what was a lot of money for us. And non-league level, and of course Ryan was clearly good enough to go and play up. We're hoping he might get back on loan, but maybe not.
Maybe Step 4 is a little bit too much of a drop for him, but you never know. So, I mean, I guess a lot of fans would want to know is how are the ticket sales going ahead of this weekend? Is this likely to be something close to a record crowd for you guys, or am I over-egging it a little bit?
It won't be a record, no. The record crowd we hold is for pre-season friendly, actually, which is against Stoke City when they used to bring their first team down. And I don't know whether this was officially logged, but there was 5,000 people there. So that was a massive crowd for us. So I don't think we're going to quite get to that level. And, you never know, but if we're going to get to that level. But for us, I mean, when you think that our probably average gate last season was around the 266 mark, which had been a significant increase on previous years. We'd been at 167 on average, something 170 around that. So we have increased his crowds quite a bit. But we're normally 260 odd, so it's not. We've already sold over 300 tickets, so I think from our perspective, it's going to be one of, if not, our biggest gate of the season.
No, I mean, we're all looking forward to it for sure. What can fans expect as they make their way down to Lyme Valley at the weekend in terms of amenities, and where's best to have a pint?
Well, I think I think ultimately you're going to find our place a unique ground. That's for certain. And I know I've noticed on your Twitter feed a couple of people have, noticed the racing track that we have, the velodrome track that we have around the pitch. So we are quite unique. I believe we're one of only 4 in the country to have a velodrome track, outside velodrome track. So we're quite unique in that way. I like it. It gives you a raised view, really, of the game. But what you will find is a friendly welcome, that's for sure. We're a very friendly club, so we'll definitely give you a warm welcome. You'll also find the facilities relatively good for our level of football. We feel we've probably got one of the better setups in the league in terms of our facilities. We've renovated right the way through. The dressing rooms are good size for the players. The pitch is good condition. So we've got a lot of covered stand as well, which not everybody's got at this level. So I think you'll find it not too grubby. I think you'll be quite happy with the facilities on show. Obviously, there's Newcastle Town Centre is only 5 minutes away. I'm not one to encourage people to go and drink or whatever, but I'm sure people will make their own way to relevant establishments accordingly. But you'll definitely receive a warm welcome, that's for sure. Hopefully, you don't receive such a nice welcome on the pitch.
And what's the facilities at the stadium like? So fans kind of wishing to, have a drink, have a bit of food. Are they best to do that before they get to the ground, or are they such facilities there?
Sorry, just say again.
Yeah, sure. So what's the kind of facilities in terms of catering and drink at the ground?
Yeah, so we've got all the basics. You'll be able to buy a hot drink. You'll be able to have a cup of tea with us. You'll be able to buy the usual refreshments. If you like a rice pie, you'll be happy to know that we do a nice pie at our place. So toilets, covered stands. Obviously, it's going to be a segregated game. Just on the advice of the police. So it should be a decent day, I would suggest.
And back to the football. So it was a bit of a disappointing weekend for you guys. You lost 3-1 and went down to Sutton Coldfield in the first qualifying round of the FA Trophy on Saturday. What does that mean for you guys now? Is it kind of all eggs into the league? Are you still hopeful of maybe getting a result against us and pushing on in the cup?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't play very well Saturday, actually. The manager made a lot of changes, and that doesn't excuse not playing very well. It probably was our worst performance of the season. I put it down to what I call FA Cup fever, which is we're all looking forward to Scunthorpe. We forgot that we got to turn up and play against Sutton Coldfield. So I think there was an element of one eye on you guys. I think there's one thing for certain: we're no pushover for any team, and Saturday perhaps didn't demonstrate that. But you'll have a tough game when you come to us. Obviously, we've got Neil Baker, ex-Crewe Alexandra, manager and assistant manager. He was there for 23 years. He was obviously at Leek Town and missed out narrowly with Leek Town on 2 or 3 occasions to go up, one through a COVID year and losing twice in playoff semi-finals and once in playoff finals. So we appointed him in December, and the club's fortunes on the pitch have certainly been on an upwards trend. And I think, with Neil in charge, we're certainly a tough team to beat, and he knows what he wants. And we're definitely one team to keep an eye on, particularly in our division. And I don't think your guys are going to have an easy game Saturday, which, of course, you wouldn't expect.
I'm sure we won't. And just kind of sticking with that, what are the players we should be looking out for on Saturday? We heard from Rich Scott last week, and he was telling us about Tom Jones from Altrincham. Is there anybody else we should keep our eyes out for?
Yeah, Tom Jones has been our FA Cup hero, really. He's saved us in a number of rounds, particularly Westfield's away, where we were, seconds away from going out. We were 1-0 down, and we must have been in the 97th minute. And he popped up with a goal. Subsequently, we won the replay. So Tom's definitely been a key player for us in the FA Cup. I know he'd like to convert some of that form into the league, which I'm sure he will do in due course. I think Jake Avery's the other striker that we have that's particularly one to look out for. He's a real good finisher and player.
Well, that was Gav Appleby, the Newcastle Town FC chairman. Fantastic little interview there and a great insight into what we can expect on Saturday. Gareth, you're off down on Saturday. How are you seeing this one?
I like to think of it being a formality, but it's the cup. Anything can happen. I think if looking further ahead, if this game depended on us going up or staying down, I will quite gladly lose. If it meant we go up. But, they've in all fairness to Newcastle, they've got nothing to lose. They're just going to come into the game and just try and play their game and score, aren't they? At the end of the day, they've got to keep us quiet. So I expect fitness levels to come into it. I also expect some of the fringe players to be playing on our part. I can't imagine, the first 11 from Saturday are playing. So it'll be a tough game, but I think it's one that we'll see out comfortably. And if we don't see it out comfortably, obviously Twitter media will go into meltdown again.
Marco, FA Cup, distraction or motivation for us this season?
I'm going to be really negative here and say distraction. Look, I love the cup. I love everything about it, and I hate what it's becoming at the top level. It is getting forgotten about. But just with where we are at now, I just feel like if we can get out of this league, it'd be huge. And let's be honest, we aren't winning the FA Cup.
Are we not?
So, look, I'd be nice money-wise, but I don't really think the big money comes into the later rounds. Well, third round, fourth round, and even then you need a big team. So, again, I am going to be negative and just give me promotion. Bugger the cup.
Well, I think we had the figures, didn't we, Max, on one of the podcasts that I was absent from. And we worked out it was around about 65 grand if you kind of made it all the way to the second round of the FA Cup. Max, what do you think? Similar to Marco, or actually do you think it'd be nice to progress in a cup competition?
So I'm happy to say that my boot wasn't just for pantomime effect whilst Marco was talking there, because I do disagree for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I think it's good for morale. It's been far too many years since we've had a decent run in either cup competition. I think even back to last season when we pulled out Brackley in the FA Cup second qualifying round. They were top at the time. It could not have been a tougher draw. But obviously, it's not quite that this season. I think we're going away to a side lower in the pyramid. I'm a bit, I don't know, I could see it being a tougher game. And I think if we can show ourselves to have a bit of steel, have a bit of fight, that actually it sends an important message that we're not the kind of side that wilts or drops away in difficult games. If we had played this Tuesday just gone, or we were playing the Tuesday after the cup game, I think there probably would be a strong case from a fitness and squad management point of view to make 6, 7, 8 changes. I don't think that's there as much. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if Butler did make 3 or 4. I'd possibly be interested in resting the players who you would really miss them if they picked up an injury. So Whitehall, Fitzsimmons, see if anyone picks up a knock in training or they're still struggling after that. But yeah, I think we will win, but I could see it being tough. I want to see us take the cup seriously this season.
We've changed that. Just again, I'm interested to see what you guys think. Does Mason Campbell come straight in?
I think he probably will do.
Surely has to.
Yeah. Look, he will have signed this season with some kind of expectation, if not a guarantee, some kind of expectation of playing football in the FA Trophy and the Links Cup. Now, whether that extends to the FA Cup, your guess is as good as mine. my instinct would say it probably does, and he's expecting to play on Saturday. Yes,
I think so. And another one, it was good to see at the Warrington game at home. It was good to see Rowley warming up before the game on his own, Rowley, but he did look like he pulled up like a little. He was holding the back of his calf during the actual fitness test before the game. So I don't know if that's maybe a little setback or if it's a step away from returning. But when we signed him, a lot of Chesterfield fans, I think Chesterfield seemed to really rate him and was quite surprised he dropped to this level. I think he's maybe another Roberts where if we get him fit, he's one of them where he's could potentially be the best player on the pitch, but it's getting him on the pitch.
Right. What are you expecting to see on Saturday? Is there anything kind of that you would like to see, Marco?
Like I said, I do hope we make 4 or 5 changes. Again, that's no disrespect to the actual competition. It's just, I think we've got a lot more depth than a lot of teams in our league, so we'd be silly to not use it. Players coming back from injuries, e.g. your Rowleys. Brogan's not had as much game time as he'd probably like, so it'd be good to see him. Mentioned Campbell earlier, I think he has to start. I think he's been really unlucky with his new sub rule, but he's not even going to get on the bench this season. So that's a big one for me. But look, it's a big day for them, whether they dress it up like that or not. But I don't think it'll be too dissimilar to some of the teams coming to Scunthorpe Park this year. I think we're going to set up shop. We're going to be 2 banks of 4, hard to beat. We heard from the Newcastle Chairman there, and it sounds like we're going to be bang up for it. So I think it'll be a good day. But yeah, like Gareth said, you just hope it's a formality and we can get the job done without the replay. But yeah, back to the other cards, 100%.
If you've just tuned in, I'd like to stress it's the Newcastle Town Chairman and not the Newcastle United Chairman who we've had on the show, although that would be a coup.
All the way from Saudi Arabia.
Fantastic. Right, do you know what I would really like to see on Saturday? I would love to see either team score one of those classic FA Cup goals. I was reading an article earlier on the BBC called The Death of the Screamer, and it alludes to the fact that actually long-range goals are on the decline. So I would love to see like a 30-yard zinger into the top corner.
Just blame Pep. That is all Pep's fault.
So basically, Barry, you're saying if somebody scores a Ronnie Radford, then, we need the full Hereford reenactment. And ironically, that was against a side called Newcastle.
Yeah. Was it Hereford?
Yeah.
Hereford's
and that basically you're saying that for the full reenactment, we need like pitch invaders in donkey jackets. We need John Motson, God rest him, screaming in celebration.
We're going to have to dust Josh Morris off.
Yeah.
Yes.
that Hereford pitch that day looked a bit like Farsley Celtics, didn't it? The one I've seen on Twitter.
Funny you mentioned Farsley. We've just announced within like the last 5 minutes that their game against Leamington is going to be played at Atherton Town.
The game against Leamington will be played at Atherton. That's mad.
Yeah.
Why? Is it because of the rain?
No, Max is not good. Their 8 games this season they've played all away. So they were due to have a artificial pitch put in at the start of before the start of the season, and because of various issues, your guess is as good as mine, whether it's down to funding or whatever it is, but they've not actually laid the pitch, and the surface is, I mean, to say it's unplayable is being very kind. Like, you would have to see a picture to believe it. It is like a cabbage patch. There's not a strand of grass on the surface. So they've played their 8 games away from home. And actually, if you look at their league position, you would be shocked to learn that, I would say so.
Yeah, so their tweet reads, obviously this is relevant because we're in our league.
Yeah.
Saturday the 21st of September's fixture versus Leamington will now instead be played at Alfreton's Impact Arena. The club will be covering the cost of supporters club minibus, as well as paying for the travel and entry for season ticket holders. And
I should just add to that, we are recording this on Wednesday night. Now, on Tuesday night, it was originally reported that that game will be played at Bradford Park Avenue, but then the articles alluding to that disappeared off the ether. If you went onto the Farsley Celtic website, that article disappeared. And on, I think it was the Leamington website, it took you to an error, a 404 error saying this page doesn't exist anymore. So your guess is as good as mine as to what's going on there.
All right. Well, I'm just looking at the league table now, and Farsley are 8th.
Yeah.
Outside the playoffs by 1 goal, level on points with Hereford and Kidderminster. So for a side with their budget, who I think was it the 4 seasons prior to this one, they'd all stayed up on the last day of the season every single time. I mean, fair play to the Farsley players. That's a hell of an effort.
Just before we move on then, Gareth, I'll just come back to you briefly. We heard from Gav just a few moments ago there, and he talked about the amenities and what fans can expect when they make their way to Newcastle Town on Saturday. It's another stadium for you to tick off your list. Are you excited? Are you still invested in this non-league adventure?
Yeah, I'm still invested. Am I excited? No, I could do without the 2.5-hour journey down to Staffordshire. But once I get there, I'm sure the excitement will kick in when I see the velodrome and then the pitch and think, oh, that view's rubbish. But, hopefully it won't be that bad. Hopefully I get the pitch all right. Hopefully I don't spill coffee on myself at the weekend.
And Gareth, Gav mentioned there that 300 tickets had been sold for Saturday's game. Now, I just wanted a little bit of confirmation, so I've messaged him since that interview was recorded just to ask him how many tickets he thinks that Scunthorpe have sold ahead of this weekend's fixture. And he said that it's the 300 that he alluded to in that interview. So, fantastic following again from the Iron.
Yeah, I'd expect a few more as well to buy a ticket. I think you've got till Friday at 9 p.m. to purchase a ticket. There's no pay on the day, pay on the gate on the Saturday. So if you want to go as a Scunthorpe fan or even a Newcastle Town fan, I think you've 9 o'clock whole ticket game. So buy your tickets and get down there. I'd expect, I'm going to say around 500 to make the journey. We've travelled well this season as fans to away games. And why not? I think it's another ground for everybody, I'd assume. I can't imagine many have been to Newcastle Town before, if any. So, get a ticket bought.
Indeed. Right, let's move on then to our next segment. This is the Hero, Idiot and Moment of the Week. And to shake things up a little bit this week, what we are not going to do is play for points. And actually, all 4 of us are going to tell you what our Hero, Idiot and Moment of the Week is. Because I feel a bit left out, guys. I'm not going to lie.
Well, why don't we then? Let's make it a democracy. The 4 of us could vote.
Okay, let's do it. You are so cute, Max. Okay, right.
I love a bit of voting, does Max?
Yeah, unless it's the result he doesn't want. Then no.
Way.
Right. Idiot of the week. Hit us up then, Marco. Who's your idiot of the week?
This guy could have been my hero or my idiot, but it's the Italian coach who took out the attacker in the 6th division in Italy this weekend. When I did share it on Twitter.
It's the best clip ever.
Oh, it could only happen in Italy. It's just one of those things. And like I said, it's my idiot, but I also love it. That's my idiot.
The best bit of that for me was how he comes off like with his hand in the air. It's like me in that charity game. As if that makes it better.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Max, let's stick with you then. Who's your idiot of the week?
So building on discussion that we'd had previously, but I feel like they're worth a second shout out because they released a statement yesterday defending their actions, and that is Aston Villa for their outrageous prices to both season ticket holders and average punters in the Champions League. I think action from UEFA, even if it has to come in for next season, is now due. The kind of ticket cap policies, particularly for away fans that we see in other competitions, need to happen for all of their competitions, and they need to happen for home fans as well. I thought their statement was completely tone deaf. Birmingham is a very working class football mad city, and its supporters and its residents deserve better treatment than these grubby, money grabbing swear words. And the rationale for that they've gone, we're trying to compete at the top level. We need as much income as possible. Your income has just gone through the roof. They're going to be playing 8 games in this new ridiculous Champions League group stage. Just complete rubbish that they've doubled down on.
Okay, Gareth, who's your idiot of the week?
As I said earlier, the fans moaning on media as we've drawn 1-1 with Warrington. And they've gone into meltdown. Absolute idiots.
Okay, mine was USA's Mark McKenzie, the centre-back, who The USA were beating New Zealand 1-0 going into the 89th minute, and it absolutely smashed a clearance against the New Zealand striker, and it ricocheted into the goal. If you've not seen it, please check it out. It is an absolute calamity. So, how are we going to do this, Max? How are we
I
going
was just about to say that.
Right then, Gareth will have to speak because we can't see him. But who wants to vote for Mackenzie, the American defender?
Not even me.
You can't vote for your own.
Okay.
That's a good steer. I like that. You can't vote for your own. Okay.
I think Gareth's got his hand up now, actually.
No, I definitely don't. I definitely don't.
Okay. Who? I'm just going to go around the screen as it is on as it is on my iPad. Who would like to vote for Aston Villa?
I'm going to go Villa.
Okay, so that's uno for moi. Who would like to vote for? This might be a tough one, Gareth. Who would like to vote for the Scunthorpe fans who had a meltdown on Twitter? And who would like to vote for the Italian manager in the 6th tier who cropped the opposition player while he was through on goal?
Yes, that has to be the winner. That isn't the winner.
I'm abstaining.
You can't abstain.
No,
anyway.
I'm going for that one as well. That's definite.
That was a good answer. Right, moment of the week.
Well done.
Yeah, well done, Marco. Moment of the week. Max, start us off. Your moment of the week.
My moment of the week, because I think it touches on what we talked about expectations earlier, it was the save from the Warrington keeper in the 95th minute. I agreed with everything that you said, Barry, earlier. I thought it was good movement from the keeper. It was good footwork. All right, the header was central to his positioning, but he'd earned that, and it was at him with pace as well. The way in which he's pushed it up onto the bar. I mean, where I was stood in the Donny Road end, we thought it was in. And if we win that game 2-1, everyone comes away from that game thrilled. There's no Twitter meltdown, gritty win, blah, 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 blah. But when their keeper, who had a good game, wins his side a point, and I hope the players bought him a Mackey's after the game, then, yeah, I don't want to steal his perspective. I thought it was a really good save.
Nice. Marco?
My moment is, I'm going a bit off topic here, but my moment was, I didn't actually watch the England game, but I did see beforehand the tribute to Sven at Wembley, and I thought that was really quite fitting. Like I said, really well covered, and we mentioned Sven on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. It was nice to see him honour him at Wembley. So yeah, mine's Sven.
Okay, I'll go next. My moment of the week was watching my lad play in his first game on Saturday morning. And I'm not going to lie, they got absolutely hammered, right? but he scored possibly the best goal I've ever seen. He took on every single player like Maradona and absolutely smashed it into the corner. They lost 8-1. He ran up to the parents and did a knee slide like Adebayor. This was to make it 7-1.
You've missed a big opportunity there. Instead of Maradona, you got Maradona.
Yeah, Maradona. Honestly, it was one of the best goals I've ever seen. And it confirmed to me that sporting genetics almost certainly do miss a generation.
Was it like that bit in Mike Bassett where he's going, God, son, do a Maradona. And then he punches it in.
It was the Adebayor knee slide when they were losing 7-1. That really did it for me.
Did all the parents start throwing sandwiches at him, like the Arsenal fans?
Weirdly, they clapped him. Like, the game's gone.
Oh, it's work. The game is gone.
Gareth, what's your moment of the week?
My moment of the week is, you've probably seen it on Twitter or media, the Curzon Ashton fan that missed the fans coach, because his alarm didn't go off. So he got an Uber all the way to King's Lynn at a cost of around £160.
That's a bargain.
And saw his side win 2-0 away, and then jumped on the fans coach to go back home.
Do you know what? You could have had him, or you could have had the other Curzon fan in King's Lynn who tried to jump over that dike. If anybody saw that, failed miserably. What a cracking away day that is, by the way. Curzon going to King's Lynn.
Yep.
Go on then, Max. Do you want to lead the votes?
Right then. Again, I'll go around the screen. Who You can't vote for your own. Who would like to vote for the Warrington keeper's save against Danny Whitehall? Okay, shaking their heads, not a problem. Like Britain at Eurovision, nil point.
It ruined my Saturday. I'm not going to vote for it.
That's why it's moment. Who would like to vote for Barra's youngest doing an Adebayor knee slide while 7-1 down?
Yeah, I'll vote for that as well.
Ooh, okay. So we've got 2 votes.
Ooh.
Marco, what was your one again?
The tribute before the England game for Sven.
Barra, me. Are we voting for Sven?
I'm gonna have to go for Gareth. Like, I know it means I'm denied a victory, but it has to be Gareth, doesn't it?
Okay, well, I would vote for Sven because I thought it was very touching. Big part of our childhood. You know, I don't know will we ever see another England manager quite so charismatic?
Yeah,
well, you know, right. Other than the obvious, infidelity. One of my abiding memories of him would be his singing of the national anthem, which I know is actually a bit of a topical thing at the moment, but his real attempt to sing the national anthem when he's not a native English speaker, that for me was like a true mark of respect.
Yeah. So basically, what you're saying is Ulrika Johnson bad, national anthem good.
Nancy Delalio somewhere in the middle of those.
Literally.
Hey.
So does that mean I win?
You got that one?
You got the point. Well done, Barry.
Last one now.
Using my kids to gain favours. Love it. Right. Hero of the week. I'll kick us off. It's an obvious one. So mine is Andy Butler for winning Manager of the Month. Max, who's your hero of the week?
My hero of the week is Lee Carsley. Speaking of national anthems, I think he's done an admirable job. I thought he managed the narrative around the noise of the Nations League game against Ireland really well. Obviously, he got a lot of caps for them. There was the whole Jack Grealish and Declan Rice situation. The fact that they both scored was very funny. I thought he's done an admirable job. If he never manages England again and goes back to the under-21s, he's done a good job. Well done, Lee.
Marco?
Sticking with the international field, I'm going for Sandro Tonali. Obviously, coming back from his gambling issues, which obviously admitted to going through help and treatment with that, which is really admirable. But I don't know if anyone saw the Italy goal the other day. His flick set up an absolute worldie for DiMarco when we beat France 3-1. And for those 2 games, he's been the best player on the pitch. And I know he played well for Newcastle. So yeah, just really refreshing to see him obviously getting his life back on track and doing well on the pitch as well. I think Italy and Newcastle have missed him massively.
Harris?
Mine is Dean Brennan, the Barnet manager.
Oh.
For calling out the fans for, guess what? Moaning and groaning when they went 1-0 down to Altrincham. He's had a big rant. If you see it, find it on Twitter, find it, listen to it, and just take note. The players don't need it. The manager doesn't need it. And Dean Brennan's my hero of the week, calling it out.
There was something about Brennan's accent as well while he was delivering this rant that did make him sound like genuinely threatening.
Yes, very much so.
Don't edit that bit out.
Yeah. Yeah, Barra, take note.
Max, lead the charge.
Right then, who's voting for Brennan?
Yeah.
2-0. Okay.
I possibly would have done, but I've missed it, so I can't vote fairly.
Yeah,
it's worth watching if you get the chance, Marco. Who's voting for Sandro Tonali? Okay, so that must mean you're voting for Barra then, Gareth.
It must be.
So Gareth's got the point.
Yeah, well then, Gaz.
Thank you.
Right, so I think we've just about muddled our way through more or less an hour there of, just babble, Scunthorpe United, vague talk. Thanks for tuning in once again. We love the feedback, and we've had a real peak actually just lately of listening figures. So if you've got any kind of recommendations, any things you'd like us to talk about a little bit more, any things you'd like us to talk about a little bit less, if you'd like us to restrict Max Bell's talking time, then just let us know and we'll see what we could do. But thanks once again for tuning in to the Iron Hour podcast. Up the iron.